No, I just want to repeat for the recording.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so it's based off matchups. So I think Sasuke is just a bad matchup in terms of what he has in his arsenal as a fighter compared to what Lee has. He just has something like Taijutsu. Right. So in context of that, will just be that he's a strong opponent in that reference. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Sasuke could be
Yeah.
because Lee could just be faster than Sasuke, and Sasuke can't land a fucking hit on Lee. So
Wait, yeah, okay. You said a lot of things. I'll just like attack the core bit of your argument. I think that matters. Um, you understand, like I like the matchup stuff. It's not relevant because obviously when someone's being compared to other characters that faced one character prior, it would all be contingent on how they've matched up against each other. Right? Matchup doesn't always have to mean advantage disadvantage. It could also just be like how strong someone is. Right? I'm thinking in this case, I'm saying matchups in reference to like anything like super like unique to Sasuke because prior to this, Sasuke just using taijutsu techniques, right? He's just punching and kicking Gaara around to the point where he's almost said to be able to replicate Lee, right? Or he's almost like replicating what
I
Lee's
can't hear
doing.
you no more. Are you
Um,
done?
Auden, did you hear
Okay,
what I
so
said?
yeah, I would just like to make this clear. D1, you could hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Basically, his argument is yes, he agrees that styles make the fights, but in this case, the styles in question are the things that are making the people as strong as they are. So it would be a strength thing. And
Yeah, and
Tanwin,
then what I'm saying is,
before you go into that example, or whatever new thing you're gonna go into, allow D1 to respond, and then
yeah, no, I know. I'm just gonna like, clarify what you just said real quick. D1, I was just gonna say, like, in addition to that, I was also saying that, like, Sasuke and Lee, they basically do the same thing, and to the point where Sasuke is just compared, like, almost identical to Lee. So, I don't know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I know the claim, right? You just agree with what I'm saying,
Alright.
right? You just said that what makes them up is a strength based thing, but your strength could be a bad matchup towards that opponent. So yes, I agree that your skill is what makes you up as a fighter, bro. But that doesn't necessarily mean that your skill will work against somebody like Lee, right? So it's all about matchup types. So just because it's stated that he's the strongest opponent, it does not put Sasuke above Lee. And then the Sasuke that you're being compared to, Boo, is still stated to be slower than Lee in a slower form. So
We
all
can
the
get to that
evidence
in a
that you're
second.
literally talking about, I wasn't done. So all the fucking evidence that you're talking about, right, doesn't it aligns with what I'm saying that this Sasuke is still in stats wise slower than fucking Lee, and AP wise he's still not above Lee. So we know that somebody like fucking Gara doesn't move; he just stands
Wait,
still,
that's
right?
shotgun. That's a
That's not a
shotgun.
shotgun, bitch.
It's a shotgun.
Yeah,
You're
track,
explaining
bitch.
on.
Track.
Wait,
wait,
crap.
wait, wait, wait. I would just like to say this: you guys have both been shotgunning, to prevent me
Thank
from
you. Exactly.
would you guys be fine with me just coming in and stopping you before you add your
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can stop it now. So make sure that he stays on one point and he doesn't bring up multiple shit. Because when
yeah,
I do it,
sure.
it's a problem. Fuck.
All right. Yeah. So go ahead.
So
Whatever.
if it's fallacious, obviously it's gonna get disregarded or whatever. It's a shotgun. You can bring it up later. But as for the actual thing you said, when it comes to like their matchup and styles, are you suggesting that skill might be what's putting Sasuke over Lee in this case, instead of just like stats?
No, I'm saying there's multiple possibilities that could be the case. Like what's going on with the context. Are you aware that like Gara is also nerfing the fight against Sasuke?
Yeah, dude, that's a different point. We can get into that in a second.
Those are one of the reasons that I'm providing to put in that. That's the reason why Sasuke is doing that against Gara, though.
You're
Are you
saying
aware?
Sasuke. Yeah, but that's not what I wanted clarification on. You can get into that in a second. What I wanted clarification on specifically was in like what was one of the possibilities that you were suggesting? What one of them skill? That's all I asked you.
He has the
I'm like
Sharingan. He has the Sharingan.
okay. So I understand that there's those possibilities. What I'm saying is if they maneuver in a similar fashion, right? So there's no like extra thing that Sasuke is doing that Lee's unable to do. And then the only thing that could at this moment put Sasuke over Lee is something like speed or something like AP, which I think makes sense because you understand that if let's say two
He's
people fight the
shotgunning
exact
Auden.
same,
What the
how's that
fuck?
shotgun?
He's
How's that?
shotgunning.
It's
How's
not.
that?
He's getting ready to clarify. It's not a
Yeah.
shotgun.
He's bringing multiple sub points, bro.
No,
Like
I'm
what?
not.
That's not a sub point. He's just about to clarify by giving an
He just
example.
talked about speed. He just talked about AP. He just talked about the monster shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I just meant
but you brought up multiple possibilities, so you can't get mad at him.
But he asked me a question, and he just asked me which possibilities, and I told him the Sharingan.
Yeah, yeah, and then he's going into why what's it called, in the Sharingan answer, how it could lead to one of the
yeah.
possibilities you're talking about, and why it's like doesn't matter
Oh
to
my
you.
god, this
Yeah.
shit is so low
Yeah, that's
tier,
what I'm
bro.
saying. I'm saying like the
Fuck.
Sharingan can be like what's being encompassed in the situation because it's just talking about like when the statement's made or like at the beginning of the fight, the statement we like a clear timestamp for the statement, like when the statement's in reference to. By that point, he hasn't pulled out anything that Lee hasn't done or Lee hasn't used against Gara. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're saying that there's some like random
Okay, okay,
component that's making
that now it's getting redundant. D1, you could go ahead.
okay,
Yeah, thank you. So the statement is in reference to the whole fight. So I don't know why you keep saying that he hasn't done anything that Lee hasn't done. But
okay,
just
we can
because
get to
he's
that.
replicating what Lee, bro, wasn't done. Just
Yeah.
because he's replicating what Lee did doesn't mean that he's doing it to the same degree. Because we know that Lee is still stated to be faster than that Sasuke, that it's still being compared to the Lee in a slower form of Lee, right? So that still puts fucking Lee above this Sasuke in
It's
terms of
shotgun.
speed. So that is one category. No, it's
Shotgun.
not. It's me clarifying. Yeah,
No,
bro,
no,
Auden, can you like?
that wasn't a shotgun, Tanwin. But
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
All right.
I'll explain
And
why I was in a second,
and
but go ahead.
you did get to say a lot, so I think he
Literally
Yeah,
superior
yeah, sure.
into
should be able to
Yeah,
say
sure.
what he needs to say. Go ahead.
literally one category that Lee is superior to Sasuke in, right? That leads credence to the idea just because he's the strongest opponent to Gaara doesn't mean that he beats up Lee. Just because he was replicating Lee Taijutsu, which is stated to be slower than at the degree that Lee literally does it, right? So you need to address that, bitch.
You have to
The
repeat
dress.
some of that because you lagged.
You said what, Auden?
You lagged in the middle portion. You might have to repeat some of that.
Okay, so what I said was that when you said that Sasuke hasn't done nothing that Lee hasn't done, right? The replication that Sasuke is doing is just Lee taijutsu.
Okay, that makes sense.
To
All
the
right.
degree that he's doing that is not the same because it's stated to be slower than what Lee
Okay.
category that Lee is superior to fucking Sasuke in, which is
Mhm,
speed, right? And we know
mhm.
that makes up like what a big factor in like a fight. Because if you can't land any fucking hits on your opponent, then what's the point of you being so fucking strong? You know?
Okay. Go ahead, Tanwin.
Um, yeah. So the reason I like really called it a shotgun, well, I know like I didn't know how to speak. I would have cut him off from a lot earlier, but it was you know how he mentioned the whole like the entire fight thing where the same was in.
This doesn't matter. I'm gonna determine what a shotgun is. You just go ahead with your argument. I
Okay.
already said it wasn't. Go ahead.
I think it's clearly like highlighted what the thing is in reference to the statement. It clearly highlights what pushed guard to the dome. So if the Sharingan Chidori pulled out after the dome, that can be what it's in reference to. So I think that's what like highlights like a timestamp. And then again, so there's the other stuff you said. If the decider factor for how they're distinguished is their stats and speed, right? Like their stats basically, right? Because they're fighting the same manner. So again, based off your argument, the dictator would be stats. Now, again, I don't think Lee stated over Sasuke. We can get to that. I think they're stated more or less the same without Sasuke using the Sharingan. That's just like what's basically said in the statement
Are you
by
done?
God. Yeah,
Yeah. So for one, the Sharingan does not increase your speed. Do you know that?
no, he's gonna shotgun. But yeah, we can answer that. Yeah, why? Actually, yeah, no, I agree more or
Because
less.
it
More or less, I do
okay,
agree.
yeah, yeah, it doesn't
But it's
increase
precog.
your speed. No,
It's
no,
precog.
yeah, yeah, precog doesn't increase your speed. It just makes you be able to
It
move
improves your
out of the way.
reaction speed.
Bro, why is he speaking over me?
Wait. Allow him to finish. This is like a
Yeah, so you just agree that the Sharingan doesn't increase speed and gives you precognition. Precognition doesn't increase your physical fucking speed. It just allows you to see things in like slow motion to the point where it makes you think you're moving in faster, but you're not. So you saying that he doesn't pull out the Sharingan is not a defeater to the argument about Lee still being faster, right? Even being relative, you could still be above somebody because if you're not the exact same speed as somebody, obviously there's some distinction and some speed. And it's stated that in terms of speed, Sasuke is stated to be practically the same speed as Lee. Practically literally means about. All right. Uh, So if he's about the same speed as Lee, Lee will be still above. So I don't know what you're talking about that statement. So you saying that he doesn't pull the Sharingan out before that doesn't matter because it doesn't increase his speed, which you just agreed to. So yeah.
You said he doesn't pull out the Sharingan before that. Um, yeah, well, yeah, he doesn't pull out the Sharingan before that. I was just like a time step highlight. But in the specific thing, I'm not saying that Lee has any sense of pre. I mean, what's it called? His combat speed is being amplified. What I'm saying is, if both of them went hand to hand, Sasuke would have the like advantage because they're more or less the same speed to the point where Gaara can't even differentiate them, right? And to the point where, like, practically, I'll give you a denotation. Hold on.
Okay, that's a shotgun. He just brought up one point.
What? What?
He just brought up the point about Gara saying
Wait,
that he can't make a distinction between the two speeds.
I already mentioned this before, bro. I don't
okay,
know how's that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I was about to
yeah,
say that.
yeah.
You
Let me
can say
address
that.
it then. Right,
No,
let me
wait,
address
wait. I'm
that
not done.
before he
Wait,
brings
wait,
up.
wait. I'm not
Hold on,
done.
wait.
Wait,
Before he brings up another
bro.
point
What?
about the
Bro,
denotation,
what?
let me address that, bro.
Bro,
Um,
it's not a new point.
wait. Okay, wait, Tanwin. I would just like clarification on like why is this thing being brought up? This whole denotation thing, for the
Oh,
record.
I was just bringing up how practically, like, basically, I don't think like there's any like large distinction. What I'm saying is, yes, I think there's like there can be a gap between them, but I'm saying it's insignificant. So when it comes down to the fight, it's not gonna make any real difference. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so
Okay, it
you're
would be. I would
arguing for
respond to that. But
relativity.
yeah,
Yeah, why is it significant? Why is it a significant
yeah.
gap?
So
You
now
know?
let me
Wait.
respond to the other point you made, and I'm gonna
Okay.
respond to
Yeah,
that
then
point
respond to
you
this
made as
question. Yeah,
well.
Wait,
Okay,
yeah.
when
so
you're arguing for
nigga,
relativity.
I'm saying yeah, relativity essentially. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But
I
more
don't
direct
like.
relativity than what
He's
D1 is
not
saying.
tracking. He's not tracking at all. But back to what I was saying, bro. To the
Yeah,
Gara shit. The
you're
Gara
arguing.
shit. Just
You're,
because he can't tell the distinction between the two speeds doesn't imply that they're relative. He doesn't even make a distinction. All he says is that he's fast, just like him. So all he's saying is that they're both fast. It's not. He's not saying that they're both the same speed. So if I say you're good at basketball, just like him, right? That doesn't mean that you guys are the same skill level. You could be massively above somebody in terms of basketball skill, but still both be good compared to what I think. Right. So I don't know why you even brought that up. And what he says is practically, and the reason why it brings up a significant difference is because that's a unweighted Lee. That's not even Lee in his fastest form. And that's Sasuke literally in his fucking
Mm.
fastest form. Okay. So if his fastest form is still slower than Lee and not even his faster form, imagine what happens when he taps into the fucking gates. It's going to be a massive difference, which we agree that the Sharingan does not increase your speed. It just gives you precognition, all right? And we already
Okay.
saw how fucking Lee just blitzed Sasuke, even while he having the
Wait,
Sharingan.
no, that's a
all
shotgun.
right,
That's a shotgun.
I was no
Yeah, I
wait,
shotgun your
D1.
mother, bitch.
That
Hold
got
up.
redundant. That got very redundant. We'll get to that later. Everything that is being argued now, that wasn't imposed in that. Just respond to
Yeah.
Tanwin.
Um, I'll get to like the whole like direct comparison thing. I think that he's fasting. I think if you look at it in a vacuum, you can draw an interpretation. But if you look at the surrounding context, how he missed like they're fighting the same way, and he's literally thinking of him as like someone else, right? He's literally looking at him, and he's getting the exact same image as someone else, like furthering the idea that he's being exactly replicated. That's what they're trying to do, replicate, right? Now, in this case, I think if you look at that in a vacuum, that's something. But if you look at it in context of the other instances where guy keeps comparing both of them, right? Calling them practically, almost, basically, like more or less, he keeps comparing them at least to some point of relativity. So I think like it's kind of like a unification argument. If you take all of these instances and you look at them singularly, you're not going to get anywhere. If you look at them as a preponderance, then you get an overarching idea of what this scene is trying to suggest.
You're so ass. Holy shit.
Oh man, nah, I'm not
Bro,
laughing for that because of that. But go ahead, D1.
no, I'm saying he's so ass. I wasn't saying that you were laughing at him. But anyways, bro. Yeah, you keep saying the preponderance of evidence. The preponderance of evidence that you've literally provided doesn't add up to what you're concluding, bro. I literally just stated that the state. I'm literally quoting the statement verbatim. He literally says fast, just like him. And I even gave you analogies to support the idea. Just because he says just like him does not mean that they're doing it at the same degree or the same speed. All the statements literally imply that he's not doing it at the same degree as what Lee is, because Lee, every time fucking Sasuke even speeds up, guy literally states, "Oh, that's almost Lee average speed. Oh, he's practically the same speed with Lee without the weights." So he's comparing it to all lower forms of fucking Lee, which we know that Lee's speed is literally hyped up within the fucking show, and Sasuke's speed is not literally hyped up. It's just being compared to a slower version of fucking Lee, and
Yeah.
that Sasuke is still not doing it at the same degree.
Yeah.
And it's literally like I stated before about the fucking shit that you keep talking about. I don't even know why you keep bringing up the like the preponderance of evidence of what it's concluding about the statement, the denotation, and shit like that. That shit is like you keep repeating yourself, and I really don't respond
You're
to that.
yapping now. You're
Yeah,
yapping.
can
So
we conclude, please?
No,
essentially,
no.
wait, hold on. I'd
The
like to
fuck?
just. I don't think you're really getting his. Like, I think you're understanding like the like what it is at face value, but you're not looking too much into it. Essentially what Tanwin is saying is just that these pieces of evidence that he's presenting in conjunction make more sense as a conclusion than what you're proposing because all of them lead to like a consistent truth. So D1 basically essentially um
I
he's just
understood
looking
that.
for
I
some
understood
he's just
exactly what he was saying, but all the evidence he provided literally got contradicted. Literally, he didn't like. What are
Yeah,
you
we can.
talking about?
If you can
okay,
think of
so
that.
I would just like you to make like those contradictions more clear to me.
Okay, so the you need a track basically. You need to listen up. This is what I'm talking about, bro. So the first literally thing that he brought up is stating that how Sasuke is being compared to Lee. What I stated is that he's literally being stated to be slower than Lee. Then he talks about the denotation about what practically means, and I said it means about, and he's not the same speed as Lee. Lee is still above. Tywin agrees that there's a gap between those two speeds, right? Then he literally talks about the statements about Guy literally saying that he's like Lee's average speed, shit like that. And I said it's being compared to a slower version of Lee, and he's not doing it to the same degree. Okay. And then he literally talks about Gara literally saying there's a distinction between the two speeds. I literally say no. Gara literally says he's fast just like him. He's just saying that they're both fast, not saying that they're doing it to the same degree or that the Sharingan literally replicate this thing at the same degree, because all the evidence that's literally leading up to what I'm saying, it leads to my conclusion that this Sasuke is still slower than Lee. There's not one statement literally implying that Sasuke is literally the same speed as Lee, right, or faster than Lee. It's either literally saying that Sasuke is relative to Lee's speed and still slower. That's what all the evidence adds up to. Right,
Okay.
so nothing he provided literally leads to the conclusion what he's saying. I don't know what you were talking about,
Okay.
Ani.
And Tanwin, what is your response
Um,
to
Auden, do you think like he added like anything of new like significant value in that yap session?
um I heard what he said earlier. I wanted him to repeat it just to make sure I got his point. But I will
Yeah,
say that I mean it's not up for me to tell you if, something is worthy of attacking. You're supposed to
I'll
know that.
attack. I'll attack like something that I find like could help his like help support his position. Um, I already went over like all the like the lead thing. I said the practically like saying like even if there's a gap, it's not gonna play into anything because it's not gonna make a difference. Like it's not gonna make any significant difference or any difference to the point where anything within the fight's really gonna change. It could be like a 0.1% disparity. But I'll say this much: when you made that argument that this is a weaker version of Lee, and I'm gonna ask you, do you think Lee starts up in this standard like in this hypothetical at its full form, or do you think Lee starts in this hypothetical in
What?
weightless?
Yeah. So, to attack the significant thing, it is not me to show that there's a significant difference, right? There is just to
Bro, you
me
didn't
to
answer my
show. By
question.
the
I
way,
wasn't
bro, I
done,
wasn't
bro.
done. I
What the
wasn't
heck?
finished, bro.
Wait,
You
he's
asked.
not done. He's not done.
Thank you. So it's not up for me to
What?
prove that there's a significant difference because I'm not on the affirmative here and I'm not scaling my character. You are trying to show the distinction between Sasuke and trying to say that Sasuke will be above Lee. But no, I am showing in one category that Lee is literally superior in Sasuke. You haven't provided anything to suggest why Sasuke will be above Lee other than the statement, because all the evidence you provided is literally still saying that fucking Lee is superior to this Sasuke in terms of speed, right? Even if you was to say that fucking Gara can't tell the distinction between the two speeds, that doesn't even fucking matter, right? I already contradicted that with him literally saying I gave you the basketball analogy about him literally saying he's fast just like him. He's not making like any distinction saying, oh well, I don't know who's faster. That's not what he's doing here. He's just saying that they're both fast. Okay. Um, like I was saying, what was the question you asked me now?
Jesus Christ. I'm gonna respond to all that and then I'm gonna ask the question again.
Okay.
Again, like nothing I've said like supports your argument. Me being an affirmative is me suggesting the idea that Sasuke and Lee are relative based on these predicaments, right? and I'm saying that they're basically presented in an equal setting. Now, you're trying to do is you're trying to create a distinction between these two characters by saying it's almost right, and I'm telling you that almost again it's not used in a manner which implies any sort of vast disparity, and again almost go like along with the Gara thing, I think we're supported that almost in this case is just like a negligible difference, right? I support that further by saying that like you know how like Gara like sees the most of the fight and the Sasuke like leads the entire fight. He's like, oh, Sasuke's like copying me and shit, right? Like they're like Sasuke is doing his shit, right? He's doing it on the same level. So I think it's a negligible like difference or whatever. And as for the question that I asked you, um, I was just asking you like, do you think Lee in this fight starts off weightless or in fifth grade?
Yeah, you keep saying that they're doing it at the same level, but none of the evidence provided literally leads to that conclusion. They're not doing it at the same level. Lee is still doing it to a greater degree than what Sasuke is literally doing, right? I already gave you that argument. You just keep repeating the same claim, right? You're just begging the fucking question, right? And to say if he starts off in weights or weighted, that wouldn't matter because I feel as though if we're arguing based off in character, he would take his weights off against somebody like Sasuke if he took his weights off against somebody like fucking Gar, right?
Okay. Again, that doesn't address my question. I understand he takes
It
his weight.
does.
Do you think it's weightless that
It
starts?
does. It does. He would take off his weights against somebody like Sasuke,
Okay, so it's weightless.
obviously.
Okay. And then yeah, so weightless Lee versus the Sasuke. Their speeds are pretty much comparable. Um, if their speeds are comparable, right? What do you think puts Sasuke like above Lee then? Like, because Sasuke is his strongest opponent, right? You don't think it has to be
I don't
AP?
think Sasuke is above Lee. You're not tracking. Well, when I say
No,
that Sasuke is Gaara's
I understand
strongest
if you're
opponent,
contradicting
it is
that
in
with
reference
speed.
to fucking Gaara, okay? There's
Wait,
nothing you would need to show why Sasuke is above Lee, but nothing you said is you keep saying that their speeds are comparable. That doesn't prove that Sasuke is above Lee. Lee is still faster than him. You just agree that there's still a gap difference between Lee and Sasuke's speed.
okay. I understand that like you're trying to create a distinction via speed. I'm asking you, what do you think that statement's in reference to then? Because if it's not speed, then what do you think it's in reference? AP,
I
right?
already told you what the statement was in reference to. It's in reference to Sasuke as an opponent to Gaara. He's a bad
Oh
matchup towards
my
Gaara.
days.
What the
Okay,
fuck?
let me explain this. So essentially he's saying that the statement is in reference to Sasuke's style. Style can
Mhm.
incorporate many different things. And more specifically D1 said it's talking about the Sharingan, which doesn't necessitate speed. So he's basically trying to disconnect the idea that this is a stats thing. Um
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. If those factors aren't coming in, right? And what we're specifically arguing about is, and we've already had this like understanding with each other that they're fighting in the same manner, right? So it can be like anything skill related, or it can be anything external to what like both of them can do. And then I'm asking you, if it's not stats, then what could it possibly be? Because there's nothing else that's in play right in this moment. If it's
Yes,
not
there's a lot
speed,
of things that are in
wait,
play.
wait, 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 wait. If it's not speed, then it has to be AP because there's no other attributes Sasuke displays in this fight.
okay, now do you want to answer?
Yeah, I already told. I brought up the most things that is in reference to, bro. We could talk about
Yeah,
the
we can go
Gaara
through it,
mental
bro.
nerf in the beginning of the fight. You want to talk about that? I think Gaara's nerf in the beginning of the fight, which gave Sasuke an advantage. You
Um,
want to talk about that?
Do you guys want
do
to
you want?
conclude? Because I don't. I mean,
I
okay, all
can.
right.
We, Anna, would you rather have me talk about that point after this thing, or do you want me to like incorporate that into this specific
Wait,
scuffle?
so D1, what were the specific reasons? Because I heard you bring up the Sharingan as some sort of like skill thing, right?
Yeah, I said that the Sharingan allows him to give him precognition, so that would give him advantage in the Gaara fight as well. I talked about the Gaara being mentally nerfed in the fight, which literally enhances which nerfed his fighting style. Like, you know how like somebody has a mental nerf
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
Yeah,
affects
we can
how
get
they
into
fight as
that.
an overall fighter. I talked about that. So I'm talking about that all
Okay,
these factors that didn't happen in the Elite fight that happened in the Gaara fight gave Sasuke a edge.
okay,
Right?
okay. That to be like I heard this earlier, but you summed it up better now. All right, so what's it called? Yeah, I guess we can go ahead with that next point.
Yeah.
If you guys are fine with concluding, that would be fine as well. I don't think it.
We can conclude on like the speed stuff, and then we can like he can try like contradicting with that with like the disadvantage thing or whatever with the mental nerve,
Okay.
if that's better.
Yeah,
Okay,
you guys could
so
conclude, and then I guess I'll tell you guys what um how that first point went. Go ahead.
Okay, so not incorporating the Gara and mental nerve stuff.
Um, I mean, I
I
don't
brought it up
really,
earlier. He didn't address it, so
I
simple.
told
I don't.
you
Well,
it was
no, no,
shot.
no, no. If he brought it up, oh yeah, I said yeah, you guys could get
Yeah.
into that later. So I guess yeah, you guys could get into it, and then I'll ask for a conclusion after.
Okay.
Okay,
What do you think was like mentally nerfing him?
Shikaku.
Yeah. Why?
It's literally stated that like it literally states that like Gara, he's not even going according to plan.
He can go not according to plan for like various reasons. It's not. I don't understand why I thought mental nerve thing. You can send me the Shukaku thing.
Yeah, he's literally making him. He's in pain. Are you not aware?
Just send me it, bro. No,
Yeah, I
clearly
got
not.
you. Pussy ass, bitch ass, Indian ass, bitch ass nigga.
All
What?
right, D1. Come on.
Mm.
Like I don't know why this nigga thinks he's on my
Have
level. Like
any scans
fuck.
been sent this whole debate, or have you guys just been like
Because we
waiting
know
for
of
this
like the statements, bro. We don't. We know of the statements. We're not no ratty ass people that just like send every statement that you say.
to?
Like you know, Gara was in pain. I don't know why you're asking for this bullshit. The fuck.
Can anybody send it for him? Does anyone?
I'm
What's
gonna
the
get it,
scan?
bro.
All right. Oh man.
What a king do you want?
Oh yeah, we need to get into another point too. Hold on, bro. Okay. Literally saying when it says you can start, he literally starts holding his fucking head. He's like, and it says throb. Do you know what throbbing pain is? It's like a headache pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He says,
You know what chapter?
fuck.
Do you know what chapter this is?
Your mother tried to.
This should be the beginning of their fight.
It's
So
111, bro.
maybe
111.
I was about to say 105.
No, it's because my D1 is crazy. I didn't. My fault. My fault.
He said, please don't be so angry. Fuck.
But yeah.
Bro, what the fuck, bro?
Tanwin, what are you looking for? Like the context or?
Yeah, because it's like this. Like right after this moment, he's like, "Oh, I gave you like bad blood earlier, right?" And then he goes, "Yeah, I'll give you real good blood now." And then we see like God like start smiling and shit. Like it's like it's almost like a bloodlust for him in this situation. Like,
No, no, it's not
like
a
you
bloodlust
understand? Like,
because it's not a bloodlust because it's directly causing him pain. That's why he's literally holding his headache, right?
what
So
is
what
he
you're
hoping?
saying,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up. So
Oh,
what you're saying takes more assumptions than what I am saying because I am literally going based off what is directly literally shown and what you literally agreed to. That he literally has a throbbing pain from not giving fucking Shikaku enough blood. That's why he says, I'm sorry and I'm going to give you tasty blood this time. Him saying that he's going to give him tasty blood this time doesn't matter to the point that he still was in pain at the beginning of the fucking fight. Okay.
it says it calm down. It says it calm down.
No, it seems to calm down. Do you know what seems means?
Okay, I understand that that's how it appears in the situation. But if nothing in this, like, do you have anything after this point that suggests he's still mental nerfed? Because if after this point, God, like, 'cause God has a clear set goal in his mind right now, right? God, he's not as conflicted anymore. He knows what he's doing. He needs to give his Shukaku good blood. So why do you, what do you think is causing
Hold
the
on.
mental pain still? Like,
Hold on.
what?
Wait, hold on. Wait. Yeah, so you're saying that what proves that he's still mentally nerfed? That is
Yeah.
not my burden to prove so. All I'm saying is that he was in
What?
pain, right? And this giving moment of what he does, you can't prove that he's not still mentally nerfed. All you said was that it seems to have settled
What?
down. What? Shut the fuck up. Bro, Auden, why the fuck does Indian ass nigga keep speaking when I'm going and I'm giving him so much respect, bro.
I'll mute. I'll mute. I'll mute.
Fuck.
Yeah, I mean,
And
for the
nigga say
record,
I'm the spurred.
he wasn't trying to intentionally cut you off, but go
I
ahead.
know he does that infinity shit, that dumbass autistic shit. They don't know how to shut the fuck up. Well, but yeah, bro. Uh,
Speak, nigga.
New soundboard.
what I'm about to say is, y'all can hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So me failing to prove that he's still mentally nerfed, right, does not mean that he's still not mentally nerfed. That would be like an argument from ignorance, right? In a sense, you're saying, well, you can't prove that he's still mentally nerfed after this incident, right? I don't need to do so because all I'm doing is showing the contradiction in your argument to prove why Gara was in pain, something that did not happen in the Elite incident, right? Which could have gave Sasuke an upper hand within the fight. You say, well, it states that it seems to have settled down. Just because it says it seems to have settled down does not mean that it did settle down. He just said from his point of view, it seems to be the case. He doesn't say it settled down. That is verbatim, literally stating that this thing is the case. When you say something seems to be the case, you don't know whether it is the case or not, right? Because it shows doubt to the created, who's treated to the idea that it has been the case. If you understand what I said, like for example, if I say it seems as though your mother works at fucking McDonald's because I see her wearing a motherfucking McDonald's shirt. That doesn't motherfucking mean that she works at fucking McDonald's. It just seems to me that she works at fucking McDonald's. You get it?
All right. Tanwin, give us a response.
Yeah, I understand the possibility that it seems would be an entailment of something that just appears to be the case, right? Not in actuality the case. But again, for you to create a disconnect between what seems and what is the case, I think
You
I've
start
given you like some sort of basis, right?
waiting for me.
I've listed my observ. What?
Bro, why you always swear about that shit?
Wait, do you want you have to let him
What?
go.
My bad. I was talking to my little brother.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead,
okay.
Tanwin.
But yeah, that's what I was saying. I was saying like, I've given him like a basis, which I said he tried calling an argument from ignorance for some reason. I understand why, because it's actually consistent observation I can make. Like after this point, the mental nerves not depicted, right? And obviously, the mental nerves, we see like when it is depicted, it's shown in a specific manner. This mannerism never followed through upon, by the way. Later on in the fight, he never depicts it. And again, I create a disconnect between these two things. I create a disconnect not only to the it seems to have calmed down statement, but also in his intent from where he goes conflicted to having a firm decision that he has made that can dictate the outcome of, or the way the fight progresses, right? He has a clear set goal, he's a clear cut goal. So I'm just gonna ask you, do you want like outside of you just like I don't know like what you're trying to say with that like negative positive shit. Like I don't know how I don't think you understand how like stances work when it comes to those kind of things, but you can go ahead and try
Bro, this
contradicting.
nigga just be talking. So, Tywin, let me educate your Indian ass for a second. So, when I state that I'm only showing you a contradiction and a flaw within your argument, all I'm saying is that me failing to provide the contrary does not mean that the contrary is true in a sense, right? So, me failing to provide the idea that he's still mentally nerfed, all right, during the fight does not mean that he wasn't, okay? All I'm showing is that a possibility that he was. I shown that with evidence that in the fight he is mentally nerfed. All you're saying is that there's a statement that states, "Oh, it seems to have settled down." I gave you a direct correlation to what it means to seems to be the case, right? I gave you an analogy which proves that just because he states that it seems to be the case does not mean that it is the case for sure, right? Because seems is putting doubt towards something, right? And I already gave you that analogy. You didn't address that as well. So what I said was that that would be an argument from ignorance in a sense, right? Saying that me failing to provide the contrary means that the contrary is true in a sense, right?
Going
And then what
on.
I'm saying is, what, bro, be quiet, bro. Anyways, back to what I was saying. You were saying, well, there's no evidence suggesting after the fact that it is the case, right? You would need to prove that, right? And you saying that there's no evidence, right, doesn't mean that there isn't any evidence. Once again, all right, you would need to show that this thing has stopped and that what you're saying to be the case is the truth. What you're just
Yeah.
saying that you just sent the quote that I already got fucking refuted, right? We can move on. Like you
Yeah,
so
I
like,
under you just presented like a shit ton of possibilities. Like I think Auden, as you guys know, so like incorporate like my multiple bases of reasoning better than like just arbitrary like the possibilities. Your analysis is a possibility too. I agree it can be used in that manner. I agree the word can be used in that manner. But again, the word can be used in my manner as well. But seems can actually be the case as well, right? So I don't understand why I don't understand why anyone would subscribe to the random set of possibilities you propose in like instead of the tons of argument that are provided stacked upon each other. I'll also say this much. I think this advantage thing, I think this advantage thing can just be in reference to him finding a stronger opponent. This advantage is you like being in a worse position against someone. That
that's
could
a
just
new
be because
point.
Sasuke is much stronger. Yeah, I know. And that's what I said also, but you can attack it.
Yeah, that's an Auden. Why didn't that's a way new point from what we're actually discussing right now. And I thought
Be-
this is going to be
Um,
the last thing we touch upon. Then we're going to conclude. So why is he bringing up other shit?
that is
It's part
true.
of what we're arguing.
Here's the
No,
thing.
you went back to the statement. The fuck?
Wait. Okay, Auden, I'll just ask you this. If I defeat his idea of what disadvantage means in this case, does that thing just not matter anymore? Do I have to like give my understanding of what that word means in that situation?
Oh, sorry. Repeat that.
Yeah, I was saying if let's say I beat him on this argument, and like his understanding of what disadvantage means in that setting is nullified, like in that paragraph. Now, does that mean I have to provide an understanding of disadvantage in the way that fits my interpretation of what's happening in a paragraph,
If
or
you
does it just
defeat
not
his,
matter?
no, I would say you wouldn't need to.
Okay, cool. That's all.
Yeah. So we're going to dismiss that other point he brought up then.
Sure, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think he brought up anything new, right? He just repeated himself about literally saying that the preponderance of evidence he provided, which he didn't provide any preponderance of evidence, and him literally saying that he can use the word for what he is saying does not mean anything at all. You would just be given the different, you would just be not arguing against what I'm arguing against when we both say what the word seems means. So if you're using the word seem differently from what I am, we can literally provide a definition that literally goes along with what I'm saying to provide evidence to lead credence to what I'm saying with my idea. So first, I'm going to literally send the definition of what seems means. Okay. Uh,
Wait, can I ask you a question, Juwan?
what's up, little bro?
Such a dumbass. But anyway,
All right. That was
what do you think?
unnecessary. Come on.
He's like little bro me. But the like when you say seem, are you disagreeing with the idea that my like definition like fitting in the situation is like impossible? Do you think it's not even a possibility, or do you think like the definition like I'm confused? Do you think my one just there's no way it applies?
I never stated that. I'm saying mine is more likely the case because this is the one that is most commonly used within language, right? It's to give an impression of sensation, of feel, right? So just because something feels to be the case does not mean that it necessarily is the case. Look at the definition I sent. Give the impression or sensation of being something or having a particular quality. Okay. Used to
Yeah.
make a description of one's thoughts, feelings. Okay. Is the nigga that's making the statement not expressing his thoughts or feelings?
Um, not expressing his thoughts or feelings. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
when he
expressing
makes
his
the
thoughts
statement.
or feelings
Okay,
regarding what he perceived. Yeah.
yeah. So the definition that I am using goes along with what I'm saying because he is expressing his thoughts or feelings. What seems to be the case to him, okay, right, doesn't mean that it actually is the case. So I already showed you a contradiction within that fucking within that statement, and that was the only thing that you were trying to use to support the idea that this thing like isn't effective or isn't in
The
progress.
denotation.
You said
Yeah.
what?
Okay. The denotation doesn't like disagree with it doesn't explicitly disagree with either of our interpretations. I think you can utilize it in the manner where what it seems is not what's the case, but it can also be what it seems is the case. You haven't like given me any reasoning for why within language it's more often that what it seems is what it's not, in opposed to what it seems being what it is in actuality. Unless you want to like go into something like that, I think it just becomes down to like our actual arguments. If we both agree that depending on our
You
argument,
guys
what
could
it's
conclude, by the
yeah.
way.
Yeah, but that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
let's
Like, depending
conclude.
on the argument,
Yeah, go ahead. You can
what it
conclude
seems to
first.
be what it is, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead and conclude first.
Um, I'll like conclude on more or less the whole thing. I told him like the whole Sasuke to Lee thing. Like, I obviously brought the Sasuke strongest opponent thing. He doesn't really like respond to it in any like convincing manner. he kind of just says, "Oh, it can be like Sharingan or whatever." I said that no. I highlighted a timestamp. He doesn't respond to the timestamp argument. I said it said like everything prior to the dome. Prior to the dome, he doesn't pull out Sharingan or Chidori. So it can't be anything to that. And I said they fight in the same manner. So it can't be a skill thing. And then I said that okay, the only thing that can create a distinction. I already brought this up, but the differentiating point would be stats, right? And then he tried getting to the speed stuff, and I said no, the speed like there's a kind of like they have like a negligible gap. I use like the unification thing where I said, okay, there's two instances where someone says basically like practically almost the same thing, and then again, and then I'm saying, and then Gara mistakes him for being the same person, not simply just based on them both being fast. He's also interpreting them both being like the exact, like them both doing the exact same thing, right? So I'm saying, okay, based off all those attributes, I think it's like pretty consistent that they have to be like close enough or negligible. He's saying no, but there's a gap because Lee's still above. I'm saying, yeah, but by how much? He doesn't get into a quantifier. He just says, oh, it's possible it could be like a lot or whatever or whatever. It's just like as he does, like he just spams possibilities. I explained why, like I said my position pretty clearly. Then we got into like I asked him like, okay, what else like possible in the situation aside from stats, right? And then he said, oh, Gar could just be weaker, the disadvantage stuff. We got into this bit, and then I told him that there's two things that supporting my argument because we now we're at a possibility clash almost kind of right, but I'm giving him a basis to make mine more probable. What I'm saying is, um, he's there's an intent thing. Gar doesn't have that. Like he has a clear cut intent in this moment. So that's a basis. But keep in mind that goes unattacked. What he attacks is the other basis I use, which is oh, it seems to be the case. Again, the denotation for seem doesn't agree with either of her arguments. So I think my understanding of what's it called, the clear cut thing with his intent changing, I think that's like a pretty clear like thing that lets me win. And even if you don't think that's sufficient, I also mentioned how it's highlighted in a specific manner when I'm guard mental nerfed. In the second half of this fight, like after he like fixes intent and after the seam statement comes in, he never shows those signs again. It's an argument from ignorance because I have things in my disposal that's like I'm using like things to like build my observations upon. It's not just me saying, "Oh, it's the case because we don't see it," right? Or anything of that sort. So I think he like won pretty
Okay.
convincingly, but
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, D1, your turn.
Yeah. So his original claim was that Sasuke basically is above Lee since he stated to be Gaara's strongest opponent. Then I told him what it meant by that, saying that like just because he's a Gaara strongest opponent does not mean he's above Lee, because all the evidence literally that supported or stated within the fucking actual fight is saying that Lee is still superior to Sasuke in speed. Then we literally talked about the statements about like Guy literally saying that he's like practically the same speed as Lee. Then he talks about the denotation of what practically means. He's talking about what's about. He said that he doesn't think that it's a significant difference. I said I don't need to show there's a significant difference. All I need to show is that there's a difference. You would need to prove that there's no significant difference between the two speeds, which he literally have not provided, okay? Because he's the one on affirmative here, and he's the one who's trying to put Sasuke above Lee, right? So if I just show a difference, that there's a difference between Lee and Sasuke's speed, right? I still have evidence on my side why the statement wouldn't lead credence to his conclusion about Sasuke being above Lee, right? Then we literally talked about the factors about fucking Sasuke, about what happened in the fucking Gara fight. How like Gara had this mental nerf, and that it literally make a statement saying that it seems to have settled down. I literally give him analogy about what seems means. He never addressed the fucking analogy. All he says is that he can give an interpretation of what seems to be the case in his perspective. Right? I literally sent a colloquial definition, and he asked me why do we go with this definition. I
I
say
can
because
see
it's the
that.
one that is most commonly used in language, right? And it literally goes along with what's happening within the statement, right? I literally said, is he not expressing his thoughts or feelings about the said thing that he's literally claiming to be the case? He literally says, yes, I agree. So I have more evidence on my side about what seems mean in this case. And the only thing that he said was saying that, well, he shows no signs of him still having this mental nerve. I literally said, well, that's an argument ignorance in a way, because just because you think he shows no signs of it does not mean that the contrary is the case, right? He never addressed that being an argument from ignorance, right? Then we literally went on to talk about like what the shit, the Sharingan shit. I literally he agrees that the Sharingan does not amplify your perception, right? And I talked about like how the Sharingan could give him advantage in the fight with fucking Gaara because it gives him precognition, something Lee doesn't have. He just has base taijutsu. Um, we also talk about what else did fuck we talk about? Oh, he talks about how like Sasuke forced fucking Gaara to go into the dome. Before that, that led into the conclusion about like Gaara having this mental nerve from that he didn't have in the fight, which literally made him a weaker overall fighter because he was in pain, literally having throbbing pains and shit like that. And we also talked about like this, like all the statements he provided doesn't
Okay.
lead to his conclusion. Basically, like shit was
So
us.
they, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you too. I how I judge this. So at first, with that first point, I had Tanwin winning that, and then that second part, I had D1 winning it. So I guess you could say that because he was able to prove that second point about Gara holding back, it would go towards him proving his point about the styles. But I will say this: it literally, like, the second point just comes down to, well, both points either winning comes down to one thing: the other not making their point clear enough and not imposing enough. So the first point, Tanwin makes it clear that he's building a consistency, and D1, you kind of just like sat there and like we're still imposing possibilities as counters to his
There
likelihood
weren't possible. Oh, my,
um
you could just get your judge. So I would win that point because I won the second point that
Yeah,
proves the
yeah,
overall
yeah.
point. All right.
But the second part, it goes to you because I think you were able to better make a probability there as to why he'd be holding back, and you did call out the fallaciousness on Tanwin's part, but you were being a little bit fallacious too. But yeah, you
He
had the
didn't call
more
shit out.
you had the more uh more proof on your side there. So yeah, I guess you would win that.
All right. Do I need a skill or we gonna end it here?
Wait,
Fuck.
Audrey, I'm confused on one thing though. Um,
Mm-hmm. I mean,
if I
to be
win the
honest,
first,
this debate could have gone either way, and I think it was pretty close. So, like,
What the fuck it was it? But all right.
to be honest,
Audrey, I have like just one thing to like I need to ask you. It's not
yeah.
regarding the second point judgment or anything.
Spare
I'm
judge.
fine with like I'm fine with you believing whatever you want about the second point, but you the first point it was more so about like whether they were relative in speed, and most of these statements that I was using is more like external to what's happening from Gara. I'm not using like the data book
Well,
statement per se,
I will
different
say
things like that.
this. I
Yeah.
obviously not right now. I won't listen back right now, but I would be down to listen back to the second point more specifically because I think the first point was a little more clear as to you winning, but the second
Hmm.
point, I'll definitely look back over if you want me to.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm not asking you to either. I'm just what I'm saying is like, would you agree that if I win the first point, that means that they're relative in speed, regardless of what Gara, whether Gara was nerfed or not. It's not just his perspective at which they're relative to. It's just the overall perspective that's being given to us in the story from other characters like Guy as well. So if I
It
win that point,
depends because it was very convoluted. Like, the first point goes down to whether or not you disproved his thing about the like whatever Sharingan being the style, um, and whether or not it correlated uh back to the
Words, words,
skin.
words, words.
Which, I mean, I don't I don't know because there's so many different sub points. Like, but I think overall you were able to disprove his thing. But you did agree that the thing he was talking about was not talking about speed. So I don't know if you would get speed on that, to be honest.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I don't think the strongest decision references speed. So if you win the disadvantage stuff, you can just take the data book thing out of the equation. You can take the strongest statement out of the equation, right? Um, aside from the highlighting point, and then what I'm saying is, if you want to take it out of the equation, now all we have left is Sasuke to Lee. So the disadvantage stuff is taken out of the equation too. Then it's with the strongest. Those are like those work with each other.
Can I scale? Like fuck.
I'm not gonna lie, like, uh, I mean, it depends. Like, it could. That's why I was saying it could go either way, because I know they're mostly, to be honest, for that first point, if I were to be forgetting anything, it would be probably from um D1's part, but I mean it's one of those things I have to look back at because you guys were cutting each other off a lot. So I mean, for now, I guess what
Do you want to just like do you want to just have like the overarching point as a steelman and then just go into D1 scaling or
yeah. I mean, do
sure?
you guys really need to go into D1 scaling?
I mean,
Yeah,
I
because my
personally don't
scaling
care.
just contradicts. Yeah, I was gonna get into my scaling because my scaling kind of like just contradicts his
Okay.
fucking shit, like all of his shit. That's why I
I'd
didn't really
rather not
want.
have like a long ass extended debate. We can just keep it
Wait,
contingent on
is
like
Archimedes telling me something? Oh, everybody check
Yes,
physical
nigga, you're
world.
yapping.
Check physical world. Check physical world. I need y'all to